A 4-year-old boy rents an apartment alone. The first day after moving here, Kotaro went to the supermarket and bought 5 boxes of tissue paper, prepared to be given as meeting gifts to all the neighbors. Living next door is a distant Huang Mao. After learning that Kotaro lives here alone, he seemed a little unbelievable. Best regards to you. After politely greeting Kotaro, he left. Kano is a standard otaku. Basically, if you don't leave the front door, you won't take another step. The dishes and chopsticks can be piled up for a month without being washed. I usually make a living by drawing comics. Kotaro looked around the room. I can't even find where the bathroom is, so he knocked on the neighbor's door again. There is no bathroom in this apartment. If you want to take a bath, you can only go to a nearby bathhouse. After Kano finished speaking, he handed him a business card. Kotaro set off towards the bathhouse. He went back to the room and turned on the TV. News about children being kidnapped is being broadcast above. Xingjing. Kano seemed a little uneasy. He had no choice but to go to the bathhouse together. Kotaro suddenly called his name while taking a shower. It turned out that the foam got into his eyes. Kano rinsed him with clean water. Then he took the initiative to help Kotaro wash his hair. It's been a long time since anyone washed his hair. Although Kotaro has always behaved very maturely, but after all, he is still a child. Kano thought for a while but still couldn't say it. I feel lonely even as an adult. What about Kotaro, who is only 4 years old? The next day while watching TV, the doorbell rang again outside the house. Kotaro asked him if he was at home at night. For a homebody, this is bullshit. After getting a satisfactory answer, he left. He also refused to tell where he was going. Uneasy, Kano followed again. I happened to meet another tenant in the apartment on the way. Miss Mitsuki, who lives next door to Kano. Since Kano hasn't been out for a long time, I didn't know there was such a beautiful woman living next door. Look how similar they two are. Mitsuki thought Kano was Kotaro's father. He was so frightened that he quickly denied it. Every passerby you meet in the supermarket next, everyone thought Kano was Kotaro's father. I've heard the same thing a lot. Even Kano couldn't help but start to doubt. Kotaro is exactly 4 years old this year. Only then did Kano remember. Last night, Kotaro said that his parents are gone. He originally felt lucky, reacted suddenly. This is not a good thing for Kotaro. He would ask Kano if he was home at night. It's because Kotaro's TV won't be delivered until tomorrow. He wants to go to the young master's house to watch his favorite animation. Kotaro's words made Carrie feel even more uncomfortable. When I went back, I happened to meet Mayue from next door. She apologized for the misunderstanding just now, but Kano no longer feels that he is not his father. It's something to be thankful for. On the contrary, I still hope that he is related to me by blood. In this way, I can take care of him legitimately. Mayue is responsible for accompanying drinks at the entertainment club. Just got paid today. Her cute boyfriend just texted her and asked for money, even though I know it is wrong to do this. But Mayue, who was deeply in love, still couldn't help but agree to him. The next day, Kotaro and Kano went to take out the garbage at the same time. When passing by Mitsuki's room, found her sleeping on the floor. Kano thought a murder had occurred. Instead, Kotaro was sensible and went over to call Mitsuki, afraid that she would catch a cold while sleeping on the floor. Beer bottles scattered on the ground next to it. Apparently she was drinking to drown her sorrows because of her boyfriend's affairs. When Mayue woke up, she was still in a daze. Kotaro asked Kano to take care of her. He ran away alone. Uneasy, Kano followed him. Kotaro ran all the way towards the convenience store. I fell down accidentally and didn't cry. After standing up, we continued to set off. He bought a bottle of frozen drink from the convenience store. Asked Mayue to wrap it in a towel and apply ice. This is good for eyes that have cried. Even Kano couldn't tell that she had cried. Mayue also didn't expect that she would be seen through by a kid. She also wanted to lie to cover up the past. Kano couldn't help but feel curious. How could a 4-year-old know so much? The reason why Kotaro knows so well. It's because he used to see other people crying. That day, Kotaro was cleaning pigeon droppings behind the door. Unexpectedly, the culprit actually pooped again in front of him. Kotaro ran over and tried to drive it away. As a result, I ran too fast and accidentally fell. He made mental preparations for a long time in his chair, because he knew it would be painful to use disinfectant. But he also knew that the wound must be cleaned, otherwise the wound may become inflamed. In the end, Kotaro took out the disinfectant. Kano just wanted to get up when he found that his waist was twisted. Just then the doorbell rang outside again. He could only let Kotaro open the door and come in by himself. Kotaro wanted to come over and let him praise him. Just like a child after doing something. It's like wanting to be praised by your parents. Kotaro put a painkiller patch on him. In return, Kano took out a pen and drew Kotaro's favorite anime character on the band-aid. On the left is the general and on the right is Kotaro. His paintings made Kotaro very happy. This is the first time Kano has seen him smile. At the same time, an uncle who looked like a bad guy came next door. Kano and Kotaro opened the door and went out to check. Just happened to be discovered by a man. The ferocious appearance scared Kano to death. But as soon as he saw Kotaro, he changed his face. Kotaro doesn't like others touching him. but the uncle doesn't care at all. Forcefully invite him to play at your home. Uneasy, Kano had no choice but to follow him. Brother Yong took out a doll of the general and gave it to Kotaro. Face your favorite animated characters. Kotaro couldn't resist the temptation, but he still doesn't allow others to get too close to him. Originally, Brother Yong planned to throw away this doll. I'm glad to see Kotaro like him so much. Originally, he bought the doll as a gift to his son, but his son hates him very much. He even said that he never wanted to see him. So Brother Yong couldn't give out the gift in the end. After speaking, Kotaro returned the doll to Brother Yong. He doesn't want the things that were originally intended for him, because what Kotaro hates most is lies. Only then did Brother Yong realize what was wrong with him. Sincerely say hello to Kotaro. On the way back, Kotaro asked Kano, is the general he drew on his leg also a false lie? Mayue is responsible for accompanying drinks at the entertainment club. It's already late at night when I get back from get off work every day, but today she actually saw Kotaro in the corridor. He stood in front of Kano gate holding a pillow, not knowing what to do. When Mitsuki saw Kotaro again the next day, there are deep dark circles on his face. Apparently he didn't get a good rest last night. At night, Mitsuki returns to the apartment after get off work. I found that the light in Kotaro's room was still on. She guessed that Kotaro must be worried about something, so they went to the bathhouse to take a bath together. We also went to the restaurant to eat. I spent a day playing with Kotaro. It's finally time to go to sleep. As a result, Kotaro's dark circles became even worse the next day. Mitsuki told Kano the reason for Kotaro's insomnia. It turned out that he had a nightmare and was too frightened to sleep, because Mitsuki has encountered the same situation before, so he thought that as long as there was someone to accompany him, Kotaro can have a good sleep. I didn't expect it to have any effect at all. In order to let Kotaro sleep peacefully, Kano deliberately placed his bed close to the wall. This way you can get closer to Kotaro. Kotaro really had a good sleep. Kotaro goes to the bathhouse to take a bath every day. Kano, who is so poor, can hardly hold on anymore, but he couldn't bear to worry about Kotaro going alone. But this problem has been solved today. The bathhouse is temporarily closed due to equipment issues, and this is the only bathhouse nearby. I haven't been able to take a shower these days. The next day Kano went downstairs to take out the trash. I happened to meet Kotaro, who also wanted to take out the trash. You can just throw it just standing there. But Kotaro had to let him go away, and I kept staring at him the whole time. She also emphasized that he should keep a distance from himself. Even when checking out, I would rather hand the money to the clerk with a knife. Domestic breastfeeding uses. Nor would he let the other person get close to him. The next day, I kept an even greater distance from him. After choosing something, Kotaro specially ran outside the door. Put money in shopping basket. Call Kano to check out for you. But when Kano was about to give him something, Kotaro asked him to throw it directly over again. Mayue watched the whole process from behind. She guessed that Kotaro must have not taken a shower because of Fantian before. What bad experiences did he encounter? That's why he has such a big reaction now. Kotaro is trying to prevent others from hating him because of this. That's why you're so cautious. To be able to take a bath, Kotaro filled the sink with hot water. This morning he saw Kotaro going out. Kano was worried and wanted to go out with him. But this time Kotaro was very resistant. No matter what, he won't let him follow. Mitsuki bought donuts and wanted to share them with Kotaro. It's a pity that Kano doesn't know where he went either. It happened that Brother Yong from downstairs also came up to play with Kotaro. See the hat on the girl's head. Only then did Kano realize that Kotaro had gone to kindergarten. At the same time, Kano and the others rushed to the school without stopping. Although Kotaro's parents are not here, but there are 3 neighbors who care about him. The reason why they came in such a hurry was because they were worried that Kotaro would face this kind of situation alone. I feel very lonely when I need my parents to accompany me. A 4-year-old brat loves to show off his strength. Always want to bear everything silently. Although Kotaro didn't say anything, but with their company, I am still very happy inside. Every Wednesday is the lunchbox for kindergarten. Parents are asked to make lunchboxes for their children. Kotaro without parents. You can only buy finished products at convenience stores. The lunchboxes for other children are all very unique. There are various styles carefully made for them by their parents. In comparison, the ones Kotaro bought at the convenience store were very ordinary. When asked by my deskmate, he could only lie and say it was a special ninja bento. But lying all the time is not an option. So Kotaro took a photo of his deskmate's bento with his mobile phone. Wait until next Wednesday for him to come to the convenience store again. Refer to how others make lunchboxes. I made a general's bento by myself. As expected, it was well received by everyone. Let him no longer look out of place. But he can't figure out what to make for the next lunch. In order to find creative inspiration, Kotaro, start asking for help from convenience store customers. They each put forward their own suggestions. Kotaro even asked them to put it in with their own hands. It is equivalent to letting these passers-by act as their own parents. I made a lunchbox for him with my own hands, although not particularly good-looking, but Kotaro likes it very much. After school, he deliberately waited in front of the convenience store. The General is Kotoro's favorite anime. Every time I watch him, he will recite his lines excitedly, but the content of the animation is very boring. The reviews online aren't very good either. Kano couldn't understand why he liked it so much. Even while taking a shower, he kept singing the theme song. In fact, Kotaro also knows that its story is not good. The reason why he likes the General so much is because this animation has special meaning to him. There was a child in the bathhouse who was crying because he didn't want to leave. His father was patiently trying to persuade him. In those late nights when I can't sleep without my parents by my side, only watching TV can make him feel less lonely, right? But this animation has special meaning to Kotaro, because of poor reputation and sales. As a result, the broadcast will be stopped soon. And tomorrow is the last episode of The General. The news came too suddenly. Kotaro is a little bit at a loss. After hearing this, Brother Yong quickly went to Kano to discuss countermeasures. He was worried that this incident would have a serious blow to Kotaro. At this time, Kotaro was setting up a stall in front of the apartment. The sign next to it says 10 yen. A young couple happened to pass by. Cute kids and low prices aroused the curiosity of girls. Kotaro performed a general imitation show for them. Next, Kotaro continued to perform for passers-by. He gives 10 yuan coins to anyone who finds it really funny. Kotaro wanted to use his own meager power. Let more people like the General. In this way, the General may not stop broadcasting. After all, this animation is full of his longing for his mother. It's a pity that Kotaro is too mature. Therefore, he can also realize that doing so is actually in vain. At night, Kotaro watched the finale in front of the TV. At this time the doorbell suddenly rang. It was Kano and Young who came over to accompany him. Although the two of them are a bit noisy. But I have them with me at this special time. Kotaro is still very happy. 4-year-old Kotaro thought the store clerk hadn't finished handing out balloons. You'll lose your job. So he disguised himself again and again. He lied and said he was getting the balloons for his family. Although the kind clerk recognized him, but I still gave him the balloon. Then Kotaro took them to Kano and asked him to help paint faces on the balloons. The clerk is on his way home. Still thinking about Kotaro. Unexpectedly, I turned around and saw him in the park. And all the balloons are in his hands. Just when the clerk thought he had been deceived. Father, brother, mother, sister. Only then did the clerk realize that Kotaro was not lying. He considers these balloons to be his family. Come and accompany yourself when you are alone. At this time, the clerk only had one thought in his mind. I just hope these balloons can last longer. Please spend more time with this lonely child. Ever since Kotaro started going to kindergarten, Kano is responsible for picking him up and dropping him off every day. On the way back, Kano received a call from the editor of the publishing house. Because every time I go there, I get scolded. So Kano was extremely reluctant. So Kotaro decided to accompany him there. The editor didn't react much to his appearance. I took the manuscript from Kano and started reading it. Then came a harsh criticism, demoting Kano to be worthless, until Kotaro interrupted him. Then he kept praising the young master for his excellent painting skills. It's the editor's fault that he has blind eyes and cannot see Taishan. He even took out his drawing book and told him, you do it, you go ahead. If it doesn't work, don't push me. Kano was so frightened that he quickly told him to shut up, taking advantage of Kano's break to go to the toilet. Kotaro plans to educate this editor well. Tell him not to bully Kano again. But I unexpectedly discovered that this editor is actually a good person. The reason why he insisted on coming here was to repay the young master for everything he had done for him. Two lonely people warm each other. Today it is rare for Kotaro to take the initiative to find Brother Yong. I want him to accompany me to buy clothes, because he wants to become fashionable. Brother Yong thought he suddenly paid attention to appearance because he had a girl he liked. But Kotaro doesn't care about the love between his children at all. Poor Brother Yong was regarded as a suspicious person by the security guard. On the way back, Kotaro told him the reason. He thought being fashionable would make him lovable. This way no one will hate him anymore. It's a pity that reality is cruel. Just like the vicious-looking Yong-gu, he will be disliked wherever he goes. Just like proving that what Brother Yong said is true, a police officer came over immediately and questioned whether he was a human trafficker. After all, everyone judges a book by its appearance. Just when Brother Yong was about to send out his message, Kotaro stood in front of him. The 4-year-old Kotaro not only ran into the club alone, he also asked Meiwei to go over and accompany him. Mitsuki was so frightened that she quickly called Kano to come over. Finally brought Kotaro home with great difficulty. Unexpectedly, he came over again the next day. Mitsuki doesn't know what he wants to do. I'm worried that he will learn bad things in a place like this. Until Kotaro said, I came here just to spend more time with her. Only then did Meiwei realize why he would do this. They were eating snacks together a few days ago. Suddenly the landlord called and asked her if she wanted to renew the lease. What are you going to do? Kotaro didn't hear what she said next. How can I spend more time with Mitsuki? Kano told him that all he had to do was go to the club and call his name. That's why Kotaro will go there every day these days. Kano hurried over to take Kotaro home. The happy Meiwei chose a treat in return. It's a pity that the warm scene did not last long. Kano and the others took Kotaro out for a picnic. Mitsuki would like to take a group photo as a souvenir, but Kotaro was very resistant. As long as the cell phone camera is pointed at him, Kotaro will shake his body crazily, so that the camera cannot capture his appearance. The two men who refused to give up continued to chase him. Soon Kano couldn't hold on anymore and fell down. Watching Mitsuki playing with Kotaro, he decided to draw this beautiful scene, until they go home. I couldn't take a photo of Kotaro showing his face either. Kano suddenly remembered that he was also covering his face in the kindergarten photo. The reason why Kotaro was afraid of taking pictures is because of his father. I once found him with the help of photos. Kotaro has never taken a photo since then. No matter how happy the memories were at that time, he couldn't even take a photo as a souvenir, as if he guessed what Kotaro was thinking. Kano handed him a note. Above is the work he painted yesterday. Kano's paintings make up for the shortcomings in Kotaro's heart. Lawyer Shaolin was assigned a new job, because this customer does not have a bank account, so she needs to send the money in person every week. And the customer they are talking about is Kotaro. It is this money that supports his life. For these lawyers who give themselves money, Kotaro always gives you a warm welcome. Not only will they prepare drinks and food, he will also sing the general songs himself to add to the fun. Every time after receiving this week's living expenses, he will also solemnly hand the other party a gift. Shaolin, who came into contact with him for the first time, didn't know why, until Kotaro asked her where the money came from. Only then did she understand the meaning of what her senior said before leaving. Kotaro's mother has passed away, but he was still kept in the dark. Every lawyer before him told him the money was a donation from a good Samaritan, and for some reasons, can't let him meet kind people. Shaolin couldn't bear it and chose to lie. Hearing this expected answer, there was no trace of emotion on Kotaro's face. He will warmly entertain every lawyer who comes. I also hope that they can convey this feeling to that so-called kind person. Originally, Shaolin was not willing to accept this job, but now she understands how important this ridiculous job is. Xiaolin is worried that one day Kotaro will know the truth. The senior just asked her to take a look at the contents of the bag. In addition to gifts, there is also a diary inside, recording Kotaro's life within a week. Maybe Kotaro has already guessed the truth. After all, he is a child with a delicate mind. Just not before hearing the answer. He still has a glimmer of hope in his heart, daydreaming about one day being free, to be able to live with my parents again. Today is Kotaro's birthday. After learning the news, everyone decided to hold a party for him. But Kotaro doesn't know what there is to celebrate after being reborn, because no one ever told him that his birth was something to celebrate. On the day of the party, Mayue prepared a big cake. When they finished dressing up, Kotaro disappeared. Just leave a note telling you where to go. At this time, he was running toward the park with the cake in his arms. He wants to celebrate the birthdays of his important friends, and his so-called companions are actually stray cats in the park. When Kotaro was alone, these stray cats are his only companions. Because I can't stand my mother's discipline, Takuya decided to run away from home with him. Kotaro wants to persuade him to cherish his family, but he couldn't listen at all, so the mature Kotaro could only accompany him to fool around. When buying snacks, Takuya realized that he had no money. In the end, Kotaro helped with the payment, because his mother only gave him 150 yuan of pocket money. When I learned that no one was going to restrict Kotaro, Takuya felt sincerely admired. But he doesn't know that Kotaro has no family. In fact, I envy him even more for having the discipline of his parents. It's getting late now. He doesn't want to sleep in the park, so Kotaro invited him to his home. Tuya is a typical person who is unaware of blessings despite being surrounded by blessings. All his complaints seem to Kotaro to be happiness. After seeing Kotaro's empty home, finally feeling scared, Takuya immediately chose to go home, and his words made the already lonely Kotaro even worse. No one will be worried if he comes home too late, because there is no one waiting for him at home. Maybe no one cared whether he came home or not before, but now Kano will be worried about his late return. So Kotaro is no longer alone. Because of work reasons, Xiaoka's parents, a nanny was specially hired to take care of him. However, relying too much on nannies, he completely lost his ability to take care of himself. I only know how to put out my hands for clothes and open my mouth for food. Kotaro was very worried when he saw it. So I went to the park with my little card the next day, planned to teach him how to be self-reliant. The first thing is to learn how to catch crayfish. Although Shioka is very reluctant, Kotaro still let him assemble the fishing rod by himself. Under his guidance, Shioka caught crayfish for the first time. The same 4-year-old child, Kotaro knows much more than his peers. This shows how much unknown suffering he suffered when he lived alone. After returning home, Kotaro plans to make crayfish soup. Shioka, who found it troublesome, backed down again. I want to go home and let the nanny cook for me. Kotaro always gets hit in the face when he plays dodgeball. In order to master the skills of catching the ball, he specifically asked Kano to practice with him. But no matter how slowly Kano throws, the ball will hit Kotaro's face, And it's been like this all afternoon after practicing. Kano tells him that dodgeball is like chatting. It should be interesting if it comes back and forth, but Kotaro said that he could only catch but not throw. This is completely against the rules of dodgeball. The next day he was hit again and his face was covered with injuries. Kano couldn't stand it anymore and continued to practice with him. As a result, he still couldn't pick it up even once. Kano didn't understand why he would rather get beaten than run away. Because in Kotaro's opinion, dodging a ball thrown by his friends means ignoring them. Just like when someone comes to chat with you with great interest, but got no response. Isn't that a kind of harm? Kano's words untied Kotaro's knot. The next day he caught a thrown ball for the first time. Xiaolin sent living expenses every week as usual. Kotaro will also perform hard in return. But he had long been keenly aware of it. Xiaolin seems very nervous every time we meet. Obviously there is something he is hiding from himself. The sudden question made Xiaolin, who was originally nervous, even more confused. Fortunately, the doorbell rang outside at this time. Since Kano is not at home today, so the beer he bought online was first placed at Xiaodalong's side. Xiaolin not only relaxed after drinking, he also let himself go. Not only is he dancing in all kinds of ugly ways, he even started talking nonsense. So Kotaro asked again about the source of living expenses. Xiaolin, who was originally crazy, suddenly calmed down. Although she didn't say anything, but silence itself is an answer. After saying that, Xiaolin slowly fell asleep. Kotaro took out a blanket and covered her with it. The next sentence makes people feel that he knows the truth even more. Parents' meetings are all women. Kano is the only man. And because I stayed up late to finish the manuscript, his appearance looks very distant. Other mothers have a very bad impression of him, even secretly talking about him behind his back. The kindergarten is planning to hold a summer festival today. I need some parents to come and help. All the mothers lowered their heads and remained silent. No one wants to cause trouble for themselves. Kano is the only one willing to help. Although I also need to stay up late to finish the manuscript. The day of the summer festival will soon arrive. Kotaro was shocked when he saw it. Not only Meiwei and brother Yong came to help, even the convenience store clerk, the editor from the publishing house also came. When I saw that the stall owners were all familiar with me, Kotaro felt particularly happy. This is why Kano agreed to help. The person in charge of the parents committee also has a changed view of Kano. Although the process is very hard and fresh 10, but seeing Kotaro having so much fun, everything is worth it. Look at Kano and the others putting Kotaro's happiness first. Even the person in charge feels a little ashamed of himself. But Kano felt that they were not Kotaro's parents after all. If it were his biological parents, will Kotaro be happier? Supermarket salesman is pregnant. Kotaro thought she only wanted something that could not be sold out. You have to eat it yourself. That's why I became so fat. So Kotaro bought all the products directly. And it's been like this for 3 consecutive levels. It wasn't until the 4th day that the misunderstanding was finally solved. Kotaro still doesn't know what pregnancy means. He thought children were born from peaches. The clerk patiently explained to him. Children are the result of parents' love for each other. It is a treasure that will make parents happy. Kotaro's eyes lit up after hearing this, but then it dimmed again. He does not consider himself a treasure that makes his parents happy. There is no memory of my parents loving each other in my mind. The next day, Xiaolin sent the living expenses as usual. Kotaro also handed over the prepared gift. The difference is that there is an extra sentence in the reply he wrote to the well-wishers. Kotaro always buys high-end tissues. This made Kano very curious. And he also knows the material of paper towels very well. Kano didn't understand why he said tissues were sweet. It wasn't until watching TV at night that he realized. A man is telling a story about his childhood. My parents were often not at home at that time, because there is nothing to eat and no money. So I can only eat paper towels to satisfy my hunger. And in his impression, the taste of paper towels is sweet. After hearing this, Kano understood the meaning of Kotaro's words. When I came to the supermarket again, Kotaro still chose high-end tissues. Although there is no need to eat it to satisfy hunger now. But the fear of hunger is still engraved in his bones. Kano took the high-end tissue from his hand, replaced with ordinary tissues like his. Kotaro, who is only 4 years old, has already learned how to bend the spoon, although he is the only one at home. But Kotaro always cooks a table full of meals. When eating, he will talk to himself about the food. At this time Kano came to visit. I was shocked to see him eating so much food by himself. Then Meiwei also came to the door. After learning that Kotaro can cook by himself, I just want to have a taste of his craftsmanship. So the next night, Kotaro invited them to his home for dinner. Everyone is looking forward to eating a table full of delicious food. As a result, I waited for a long time. Kotaro then served a dish. The 3 people were immediately stunned. But even though there is only one dish, but it tastes very delicious, the young master fell to the ground because of a cold. I can only ask Kotaro to send the manuscript to the publishing house. I see that the editor has to come over to work overtime on weekends. Kotaro couldn't help but care about him. It's fine. After learning that he still has children at home, Kotaro quickly persuaded him to go home, worried that his children will feel lonely at home. Hua Jing used to often be at home alone. I heard that Kotaro likes the general very much. The editor specially took him to visit the toy department. It is filled with figures related to the general. Kotaro's eyes glowed golden when he saw it. There is even a 2-meter-tall general doll. Although these things are very attractive to Kotaro. But considering that the editor's children need to be accompanied, Kotaro still reluctantly asked him to go home quickly. The next day the editor came to Kano's house. It can be said that Kano and Kotaro's reactions were exactly the same. Because the editor himself has children. That's why he was more aware that Kotaro was too mature. He specially invited Kotaro to see the figures. I just hope that he can be as happy as his peers. It's a pity that Kotaro is already restraining himself. When he went back, Kotaro stopped him. Ryota climbed up the mountain alone at night, because he once made a promise with Kotaro. Today we are going to the mountains to watch the meteor shower together. As soon as the two met, they started dancing like a general. When Kotaro was in the orphanage, he and Ryota are very good friends, until his father followed the photo and found it. Kotaro had to escape overnight. I didn't even have time to say goodbye to my friends, but he always remembered the promise to watch the meteor shower together. Ryota expressed understanding for his leaving without saying goodbye. After all, facing such an irritable father, his 4-year-old child could only choose to escape. Kotaro was very happy if he still remembers the promise. They both like stars very much. It was Ryota who taught him how to use a camera. They used to come to the mountains to watch the stars. When Kotaro escaped from the orphanage, I took Ryota's camera away with me. He has always felt guilty about this. But Ryota didn't mean to blame him at all. He knew that Kotaro wanted to leave some memories. So I pulled out the camera's memory card and gave it to him. A new tenant has moved into the apartment. He is a private detective hired by Kotaro's father. Not only did Kotaro not know anything about it, he also became good friends with him. As soon as Qingtian moved here, he deliberately tried to get close to him. Pretend to be afraid of loneliness. I hope that during this month of business trip, I can become friends with Kotaro. The kind-hearted Kotaro agreed to him without much thought. Every day turned into going to the bathhouse with Qingtian. When taking a bath, Qingtian deliberately imitated the characters in the general, to gain favor with Kotaro. She also pretended to like the same snacks as him. He learned a lot of information from Kotaro's father. Used these to quickly shorten the distance between each other. Soon the two became good friends. Qingtian also wanted to get Kotaro's information out of Kano's mouth. However, he still confirmed Kotaro's identity. I reported the situation to my employer that night. Brother Yong saw that the two of them were so close, so he vented all his resentment on Kano. And they all noticed that Qingtian was a bit suspicious. In order to protect Kotaro's safety, in the evening, the two of them went directly to Qingtian. Brother Yong opened the door and asked him if he was a detective. Kyoto, who insists on professional ethics, wants to deny it. I didn't expect Brother Yong's backhand to be full of cash. Qingtian also directly abandoned professional ethics. Simply confessed the truth. He admitted that he was entrusted by Kotaro's father to find the whereabouts of his son. And he also found out the reason why Kotaro moved here. Just to avoid a father who would domestically abuse me. At this time, Kotaro happened to come over to ask Qingtian to go to the bathhouse together. When I saw Brother Yong about to beat him, Kotaro quickly protected Qingtian. Brother Yong can't do anything in front of Kotaro. I could only leave the room angrily. But Qingtian still acted like nothing happened. Accompany Kotaro to the bathhouse as usual. He will retire tomorrow. So I said my final goodbyes to Kotaro. But he didn't expect that Kotaro already knew his identity. Qingtian left the apartment the next day. Kotaro started asking Kano to accompany him to school again. After learning that Qingtian had sneaked away, the two of them instantly became confused, worried that Kotaro's father will show up at any time. Mayue also happened to be back at this time. After knowing the ins and outs, in order to protect Kotaro, the three of them blocked directly at the entrance of the kindergarten, preventing the appearance of Kotaro's domestically violent father. Even on the way home, I was always on guard. No matter what Kotaro was doing next, they all carefully stayed by his side. But I didn't wait for the domestically violent father. Instead, Mr. Kotaro was angry. He doesn't like to be thought of as weak. So after returning home, I started exercising quietly. Uneasy Yi came over again. He asked Kotaro why he wanted to live alone. Kotaro just said that he wanted to become stronger. If I ask again, he won't say anything. The next day, no one dared to follow Kotaro anymore. I can only squat in front of the apartment and worry. I guess Kotaro wants to become stronger. It's to protect yourself when facing your father. At this time Qingtian actually appeared in front of them. Sure enough, he went to report to Kotaro's father. Brother Yang was so angry that he wanted to take action on the spot. As a result, Kotaro also happened to be back. He is going to the park to play with his friends. Everyone was worried and followed him. No one knows why he did this. Qingtian lifted up his clothes to reveal the scars on his body. He was also a victim of domestic violence as a child. So I can't bear to let Kotaro continue to experience that kind of pain. Everyone finally felt relieved. The reason why Kotaro knew his identity was because of the games Jingtian played with him. They were all played by his father before. This also shows in disguise that the position in Kotaro's heart. They still don't know why Kotaro wants to become stronger. Until Takuya, who was playing on the side, cried because he fell. It's obvious that Kotaro himself is the victim, but he put all the responsibility on himself, thinking that it is because they are not strong enough that they caused the family's misfortune, naively thinking that as long as I become good enough, parents will no longer hate themselves. They can live together again. Some people say that parents' love for their children is selfless devotion, but in fact, the love a child has for his parents is the most free love. To encourage Kotaro, Kano specially raced with him, and then lost completely. But winning or losing doesn't matter. He just wanted to tell Kotaro that it is easier for people to become stronger if they have an opponent. What is it like to have a scumbag boyfriend? The money Meiwa earned from being a bartender in entertainment clubs was taken away by her boyfriend every month, and he often beat her. This time Mitsuki mustered up the courage to break up with him, but he was shameless and refused to agree. He even threatened her with violence. Although Meiwa has long known that the other party is only interested in her money, and displayed violent tendencies numerous times, but she was still trapped in it and couldn't extricate herself. Kano wants to help her go to the police, while Yonga suggested that he could just beat him up, but Kotaro asked Mitsuki to quit her job, escape to a place where he can't be found. Kotaro, who has always liked Mitsuki, this time it's very abnormal. He repeatedly emphasized that Meiwa should move out immediately. No one knows what happened to him. Next, Kotaro kept ringing the doorbell and harassing Mitsuki, hoping to drive her away this way, but Meiwa still hopes to stay with everyone. Shonio Kotaro story. Meiwa is indeed still deeply in love with her boyfriend, although the other party is an out-and-out scumbag, but there are also some memories that are happy. Meiwa finally chose to move away. It's not because of Kotaro. It's because even though the police were called, but since there is no evidence, nothing can be done to him. To start a new life, Meiwa had no choice but to leave here. Shotaro hid his tears behind a mask. He didn't say anything. He just held on to Kano and Yonga tightly. I'm afraid that if I let go, they will leave me. After Meiwa left, a new neighbor moved in. Miss Takei has a strong resistance to children, although she tried very hard to restrain herself. But I still can't have normal contact with children. On this day, Kotaro invited everyone to visit his home. The house is filled with items he collected, including paintings of him and Miss Mitsuki, and the general that Kano drew for him at the beginning. Every item carries his precious memories. Takei's attention was attracted by the gloves on the table. Those are the gloves worn by Kotaro's mother. He has an innate, like a paramilitary police officer, instinct towards children. Mother can only touch Kotaro if she wears gloves. Takei suddenly asked Kotaro to throw away his gloves. Seeing that Kotaro refuses to agree, she even wanted to do it herself. Even if Brother Yong opens his mouth to kiss her, she was still very excited. Her mother is the same as Kotaro's mother. I feel disgusted with my child from the bottom of my heart. Only dare to touch her when wearing gloves. This incident caused indelible scars on the young Takei, even though it was a sad memory. But as long as it's related to mother, Kotaro is still reluctant to abandon him. Every time it rains, Kotaro will appear at the subway entrance, offer to hold umbrellas for those who don't have one. Takei thought he was just acting on a whim. Unexpectedly, Kotaro has many regular customers. Soon the subway entrance was crowded with people who needed his escort. The next day he saw Kotaro holding an umbrella for someone else. Out of curiosity, Takei followed secretly. Kotaro will deflect his umbrella towards passers-by. Let your shoulders get wet from the rain. And also proud of it, because this is what his father taught him. Different from Kotaro's father. When going out with mother, she always just lowers her head and plays with her mobile phone. Let Kotaro get wet by the rain. That's why he holds umbrellas for others on rainy days. I hope I can help others like my father. I also hope that others will not get caught in the rain like me. That day Aya found Kotaro. They were very close when they were in the orphanage. Now he works as a bartender in a bar. I am very happy to meet Kotaro again. Immediately invite him to your home to play. I even cooked curry rice for him myself. That day, Kobayashi came to Kano for help. Recently, Kotaro has been asking her to increase the amount of living expenses, but he refused to tell the reason. She was worried whether Kotaro had been deceived. Kano stopped Ayu when he was about to go back. Ask if this matter has anything to do with him. Aya simply admitted that he had borrowed the money. Because I want to use it to buy a house and live with Kotaro. Kano originally wanted to say something else. But his position in Kotaro's heart is obviously very important. The most important thing is that Kotaro is also willing. So he could only give up. When Kotaro first went to the orphanage, because of his withdrawn personality, no one wants to get close to him. It was Aya who was the first to talk to him. They have been staying with Kotaro since then. Let him feel the warmth for the first time. His character gradually became more cheerful. Therefore, Ayo and Ryota hold a very important position in Kotaro's heart. Once a girl lost her wallet. Everyone immediately suspected that Aya had stolen it. Only Kotaro stood up to speak for him. Finally, with the help of Kotaro, I found the wallet. Everyone will doubt Ayu. It's because he's been arrested for theft before. Shaolin passed the background check on Ayu. It was found out that he owed several consumer loans. Originally he was never able to repay. But recently I have slowly paid back the money. They immediately told Kotaro the truth. But Kotaro trusts Ayu very much. Insisted on lending him money. So they could only go to Ayu. I want to persuade him not to deceive Kotaro again. But he refused to admit it even if he died. Although Kano was angry, there was nothing he could do. I was worried whether Kotaro also knows the truth. It just so happened that he had just come back from picking up trash outside. Didn't show anything unusual. In fact, when he first asked Kotaro to borrow money, Kotaro already knew he was lying. Because as long as Ayu lies, the index finger of my left hand will move around. But Kotaro will always trust him unconditionally. So even if you know that Ayu is lying, Kotaro was still willing to give him the money. Kotaro always remembers his promise, so I trust him unconditionally. He also gave Ayu the money he usually earned from collecting bottles and selling them. Hope it can help him get through this difficult time. Why are you doing this? When I first left the orphanage, Ayu also tries to trust others like Kotaro, but what they got in exchange was countless betrayals. Unknowingly, he became what he is now. Later, Ayu quit his job as a waiter. I am also slowly repaying the money I owe Kotaro, but Kotaro will still pick up bottles in his free time. Kano asked him curiously why. Kotaro said he wanted to build a big house. Kotaro subscribes to many newspapers. The postman thought he was being threatened to order so much. So I wanted to help him cancel his subscription, but Kotaro said that he was voluntary. Kotaro reads all the newspapers every day. As long as it doesn't have his parents' names on it, it means they are safe. He can only be sure this way. I dream about living with my parents one day. On this day, he asked Kano to accompany him to the cemetery to pay homage. Kotaro came here once before with his mother. His grandparents are buried here. Kano helps him clean the tombstones. Kotaro wrote his mother's name next to it. As a result, Kano was surprised to find that his mother's name is engraved on the back of the tombstone. In other words, she was buried here after her death, and Kotaro obviously doesn't know about this yet. In order to protect Kotaro's hope, for the rest of the time, Kano stood in front of the tombstone. I'm afraid that Kotaro will discover this cruel fact. After all, he is still making a wish to see his mother again. Seeing this, Kano felt even more uncomfortable. Kano specifically asked him to bring him with him when he went to visit graves in the future. Only in this way can Kotaro be prevented from discovering the truth. He can also tell his mother how he grew up. The first season ends here. Although the plot of this animation is a bit too ideal, the characters Kotaro met were all very gentle and kind. It feels unrealistic. After all, everyone knows how cruel reality is. But after all, people yearn for gentleness. That's why I was healed in animation. This is also the value of this animation. You must cherish the gentle people around you.